All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for your patience. We are going to continue our open session with item 6.6, our 11:30 a.m. item. It's a hearing. Consideration of post-abatement hearing on account and proposed assessment of abatement located at 3112 Atoll Road, Lucerne, APN 034-37301, property owner Yvonne Cox. And before we get started, we need to swear in anybody that is in Zoom. If you wish to provide testimony, please raise your hand so we can unmute you. And in the board chambers, just please stand up and follow directions from Johanna.
All right. Well, with your right hand raised, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thanks.
And
anyone in Zoom swear in?
Nobody in Zoom with their hand up. And so we'll go ahead and pass this on to Director Turner.
Thank you. Mireya Turner, Community Development Director. Our Code Enforcement Manager, Marcus Beltramo, will make the presentation today.
Sure.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Marcus Beltramo. I'm the Code Enforcement Manager for the County of Lake, and this will be our presentation to request a lien be recorded on the property 3112 Atoll Road in Lucerne, California. As always, we provide a map for context so you can see where the property is located. It is located in Lucerne, California, off the highway. The area that it's located, it tends to be a more hilly area. It's in the hills. It's not in the lower part of the flatlands of Lucerne. It's up in the hills area. Property information. The owner is Yvonne D. Cox. The property zoning designation is an R1 single-family district. It is improved. It does have a manufactured home on the property. According to county records, there is a default date of 6/30/2021, and there is a tax delinquency in the approximate amount of $4,095.72. Again, the reason we include tax delinquency information is that's an indication to us in code enforcement if there's a responsible party or if they've abandoned the property. Usually this gives us an indicator whether or not somebody will correct the violations or if the county will have to be the last resort and move forward to bring the property into compliance. The issue was brought to our attention or referred over by the sheriff's office. They were out there for a call. They provided these photos. We also had a neighbor about the same time also call in and refer a complaint over to us for an excessive amount of rubbish and garbage piled up in the front of the property along the roadway. This is the photo that was provided to us. We did our assessment. We did issue a notice of nuisance in an order to abate. That notice was issued on March 23rd, 2023. I'm not going to recite all the violations that we cited. It's in the memo. It is public record if people wish to review that. During the process, as we went on, we discovered that there was lack of water service to the property. We did post a red tag on the property. A letter was mailed out to the property owner informing them that the property could not be occupied for lack of water or running water to the fixtures in the property. We confirmed this with the local water company. Some time went by. The issue started to grow. The property owner was not correcting the violations. These photos were taken in June. The issue, I would say, expanded. It got to the pile grew in size. On the left, you can see kind of a front view. On the side, you can see kind of giving you some kind of context of the length of the amount of trash and rubbish. Again, this is just a different angle here of the pile of trash that accumulated. Not sure why it's put into a pile, but for some reason it was consolidated into a pile when we got there. As the process went on, we started receiving more information from neighbors. We weren't allowed access into the property initially. I did go out into the field with my officers. On that day, the tenants happened to be in the property. They allowed us to conduct an inspection of the interior of the property. At that time, we determined there were several health and safety issues and structural issues within the property. The property only had electricity to half the unit. And the unit that did have the electricity was in the bedrooms. And so it's a rectangular unit with the bedrooms on one side and the kitchen and other appliances on one side. The power that had, the side that had power were the bedrooms. So they were stringing electrical cords from the bedroom all the way to the kitchen. So it was going over stoves, other appliances to power the appliances on the other half of the interior of the structure there. That is not in compliance. Electrical outlets are, not electrical outlets, but extension cords are not an approved permanent source of electrical wiring. So we issued a letter for health and safety violations, letting them know that these issues need to be corrected, and the property is still under a red tag. We did conduct an abatement. These are the photos of the abatement. We hired Leonard's hauling service to conduct the abatement. On the left, you can see there's no trash there. On the right, you can see a truck filled with the trash. The contractor's cost for this was $450. Administrative cost was $416.04. Staff is recommending the Board of Supervisors approve a lien in the amount of $866.04 and to direct staff to record a lien against the property. At this time, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Supervisor Green?
You just want to clarify, if staff hasn't already, the appellant's not here today. Thank you for all the hard work that goes into these. You know, when we're trying to collect money, you got to document it, and here we are for $866. I guess my question is not really anything case specific, but if it's all liens all the time, I don't think that's necessarily super cost efficient and maybe not even a deterrent. I'm looking at the code section. There's an alternative collection where we could refer the debt to a collection agency as opposed to placing a lien on the property. And I'm curious if that's ever been utilized by your department, and I'm also curious if any different outcomes, because we can record an $800 lien on a property, it's going to do absolutely nothing until the property sells. We do a collection agency, we still may not get the money, but I think it's more on point as far as holding the responsible person actually responsible and possibly deterring future violations. So do you have any information about whether you've ever referred debts of this manner to a collection agency?
So I am familiar with that section in the code. We have not explored using a debt collection agency to go after monies that were attached to a lien recorded on a property. That is a tool that's provided to us in the code. It's something we can explore. Right now, the only debt collection agency or processing agency that we're using is for administrative citations. One other point is when it comes to administrative citations or administrative fines and penalties, there is, through our trade association, California Association of Code Enforcement Officers, there is court case out there or court case law that it's not binding, but it does have an impact, and they've counseled us or given us guidance that trying to record administrative penalties as a lien on a property may not be allowed. The case is Mica Mill versus San Jacinto. It's something we'd have to probably submit to county council to have them to review to see if recording administrative penalties as a lien on a property is legal.
Also, this isn't, we have added a second step on the lien, that we take the recorded lien to the auditor, and they enter that onto the assessment roll as a special assessment. So it's a little, we get it a little faster, since you then pay, when you pay your taxes, it is due, rather than when you sell the property. So that is an additional step that has been added just, I think, what, in the last year or two? That's new to me.
To my knowledge, since I've been here, it's always been part of the process. You record the lien, then you submit it to the assessor to go on to the tax roll. At that time, it's my understanding they won't set partial payment. You have to pay the full amount at that time. If they don't, that's when the 5-year clock starts ticking to a tax delinquency lien sale. I'm not sure what the time, kind of going to the point of your question, I believe, is right now, we haven't explored a debt collection agency. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what the processing times are. I don't know what the success or the recovery rate is. But it is something that we can look into, and it's something that we should examine all the tools that are offered to us by the ordinance and see what's most beneficial for us, because waiting 5 years to potentially recover our funds is a long time. And with inflation, it kind of erodes the cost of the value of the money. And those are funds we need today, and we need to recover them in an expedited manner so we can use those funds for other properties that are not adhering to compliance.
So I want to ask Mr. Guintavano, did you want to speak on what was mentioned, or just checking in?
So we could certainly look into that. The case that was cited, I'm not sure if our staff from the county counsel's office already looked at that case, but I'll certainly follow up with code enforcement, CDD.
Okay, thank you very much. Quick question, and I appreciate the question from Supervisor Green. We're looking for outcomes overall. I don't think there was I think that was already mentioned. Appreciate the work that is done. We need to clean up these properties, but we want to make sure you have the funding to continue to clean up those properties. Any fines that are coming along with this case?
So at this time, this case was done about a year ago. We were still working on fines at the process. Given the, I guess, the frustration of the surrounding community at this property here, there's a bigger context, but this issue is only germane to this property here. Through the frustration of the community, we just went and decided we had to abate it, went ahead and moved forward with the abatement process. The property owner does have other properties, some recently that were issued notices of violation, so we are going through that. Our initial process is to start with the fines to see if that compels the property owner to move forward. Abatements are a last step toward, or a step further along in the process. We rather go through all the other steps first before we do the abatement and use public funds to abate these properties, and kind of go into the answer I gave earlier, potentially waiting 5 years to recover those funds so that we can use them again. We have a lot of issues in this county, and those funds are very valuable. And so property owners not adhering to their responsibilities and doing what they need to do, those funds need to be utilized to attain and achieve compliance. And the more that we do that, the more hopefully the message get out to other property owners that if you do not do this, the county will come in and abate the matter and restore the property to compliance. And property owners should also be aware, if the county does the work, it's more expensive. Usually it's twice the cost. So it's in the property owner's interest to self-abate the properties and lower their cost burden.
Absolutely, and I appreciate the timeline for this, but I know that we have implemented the fines, and I think that's an additional way to get some of those things that we're looking for to ensure that there is continuity of the service you're providing. So I think we are expanding the possibilities when it comes to recouping those funds. And then one quick mention, you're saying 5 years. We do have the capability to pass an ordinance, I think, or a resolution, where if there is a code enforcement lien on a property, you can bring it down to 3 years. It doesn't have to be the 5 years. It's just standard status quo 5 years, but the possibility to bring it down to 3 due to the fact that we had to go out of our way and spend public funds in order to recoup them faster. Through that resolution or ordinance change, we can go for 3.
And just to kind of piggyback on that, my understanding is that for a vacant lot, if there is a lien attached to the property, the county does have the ability to foreclose within 3 years if it's a vacant lot. So we should be looking to utilize that tool as well.
Awesome. Vice Chair Crandall?
So just piggybacking on that too, from what I understand, and maybe this is where the ordinance comes in, but if there is a red tag on the property and they have a 5-year, situation with their taxes, can it be reduced to 3 years because of that red tag, or is that something that goes along with the ordinance? I thought there was something in place right now that if there's an active red tag and they have outstanding tax default, then they can be moved or,
Yeah, we could look into that.
Yeah, I think that's what,
Off the top of my head, it's not.
And I want to say the rules and regulations were in the State Controller's Office, where they provide the rules and regulations for tax auctions, Chapter 8s, and things like that. And so it's somewhere within that guidelines, but there's something to that. And I think, as was kind of alluded to, providing as many tools as possible to ensure that we can continue to do the cleanup that needs to happen and get people to comply with the rules and regulations. All of our communities deserve that, so. Thank you for the conversation and discussion. Thank you for your presentation. Opening it up for anybody from the public who swore in. I see nobody got sworn in the Zoom chamber, and nobody got sworn in other than staff in this board chamber, so let's go ahead and bring it back and take action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a lien in the amount of $866.04 and direct staff to record the lien against the property with the Lake County Recorder's Office and deliver recorded lien to the county auditor, who shall enter the amount of the lien on the assessment roll as special assessments.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for your work. And with that, we will go back to closed session and continue where we left off in closed session. And that will be all for our open session. Thank you, everybody.